Hello, I'm Brian Bowyer. My friend Jay invited me to read a Christmas story on his YouTube channel, and I told him I didn't have a Christmas story. 15 minutes later, however, a Christmas story popped into my head, so I wrote it down, and here it is. It's called Old Giant. But first, I would like to thank Jay for not only inviting me to appear on his YouTube channel, but for inspiring me to write a Christmas story in the first place. So, thank you, Jay, for both of those things. Okay, Old Giant. On Christmas Eve, as the plane flew over Manhattan, the giant assassin, an old man now, wanted to cry at the absence of the towers in the skyline. They'd been gone for many years, but the ghosts of those World Trade Center buildings affected him deeply. Sitting alone on the 10-seat chartered Cessna, staring out the window, he thought about all the times he had visited the Twin Towers as a child. He remembered the fountain and the flowers in the plaza, and the golden sphere, and the bright yellow light that filled the interior of the lobbies. The view from the observation deck had always left him breathless, so high up in the sky, as the other buildings below resembled matchboxes, and the Brooklyn Bridge to the east had appeared no thicker than a shoestring. Those towers had seemed so powerful and permanent to the young assassin, and in the end they had stood not even 30 years. He wondered how the rest of the city would appear a decade or a century from this moment. Factions all over the planet truly despised America, and New York's days, in his opinion, were numbered. A nuclear attack would come. Of this he had no doubt. The only question was when. The plane touched down at LaGuardia in Upper Queens. The assassin's car was where his employers had told him it would be. The keys were under the passenger seat, and the weapons he requested were in the trunk. He got in his car and drove away to visit the surgeon. Preston Wycliffe loved to read while taking a bath. It was one of his life's most simple, treasured pleasures. It helped him relax and put him in a mood conducive to sleeping after the routine horrors of a 16-hour shift at the hospital. Dr. Wycliffe, at 52, looked much younger. He kept himself in shape by jogging in Central Park every day. He was handsome, successful, and popular amongst the nurses he worked with. He could take his pick of women with whom to be in a relationship, but he was looking for neither a woman nor a relationship. He enjoyed being a bachelor all over again. His kids were grown and gone, and his ex-wife had gotten the house and had since remarried. Preston was alone now, but not the least bit lonely. He could imagine nothing better than coming home to an empty penthouse after performing under the bright lights of an operating room. And so tonight, on Christmas Eve, he took a hot bath in the jacuzzi with a glass of wine and a hardback novel. And life was good. He lost himself in the world of the novel. Sometime later, he averted his gaze from the book to take a sip of wine and saw an old giant standing in the bathroom. The old man was bald, unbelievably tall, and built like a professional wrestler. He held a scalpel in one hand and forceps in the other. A small, old-fashioned video camera dangled from a strap around his neck. Preston set the novel on the floor next to the tub. "Who are you? How did you get in here? What do you want?" The old giant thrust the scalpel out, clacked the prongs of the forceps together twice, and said nothing. Dr. Wycliffe, with only the water and the bubbles between him and this huge intruder, suddenly felt more vulnerable than he had ever felt in his life. "Who are you?" he repeated. "What do you want?" "What I want," the giant said, "is to get the hell out of New York before it's vaporized. If it were up to me, you'd already be dead, and I'd be on my way back to the airport. However, most unfortunately for you, 2 associates of mine were paid a large sum of money by a family who wants to see you eat your own testicles." "You're an assassin?" "Yes. Finish your wine. You'll need it." Preston drained his glass, and his knees began to shake beneath the bath bubbles. The assassin pointed the camera at Preston and clicked it on, then looked at him through its eyepiece. "We have great lighting in this nice white bathroom. Has anyone ever told you that you're a handsome man? I'm sure the ladies tell you that all the time. It's a shame you'll have to die eating your testicles." Dr. Wycliffe, clutching an edge of the tub, rose partially from the water, but bath bubbles still concealed his genitals. "I will not just let you kill me." The assassin smiled. What are you going to do, little man? Fight me naked? Yes, if I have to. You'll lose, I assure you. Preston threw his wine glass, and it shattered against the giant's head. The assassin smiled again. Nice aim. As the giant approached him, the doctor slunk back down into the water as if it could protect him. The assassin grabbed a fistful of his hair, yanked him out, and began bashing his head against a wall. Soon thereafter, Preston lost consciousness. He came awake to the burning smell of ammonia being held beneath his nose. With a vicious headache, Preston looked around. His wrists and ankles were handcuffed to the 4 posts of his own bed, and he was still as naked as he had been in the jacuzzi. The intruder, now his captor, loomed over him with the video camera. Its little red light was flashing. The camera was recording. Preston said, "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Who in the world would pay you to harm me?" The assassin scratched his head. "2 associates in West Virginia are paying me, but they're being paid by a family who wants to watch you suffer." "West Virginia?" Preston said. "I don't even know anyone in West Virginia. This must be some kind of mistake." The assassin shook his head. "They don't make mistakes. And whoever paid them undoubtedly isn't from West Virginia. That's just where my associates' headquarters are located, deep in an underground bunker. If you want to have somebody killed, and if you want to get away with it, those are the people to get in touch with. They take orders and orchestrate executions worldwide." "But who on earth would want to have me killed?" "Well," the assassin said, "by no means am I an educated physician such as yourself, but I'll see if I can solve this conundrum for you. I suspect it's someone related to a person who died in your operating room, and because they want to watch you eat your own testicles, I'm assuming the procedure you botched had something to do with testicles." He set the video camera on a stack of books he had placed on a chair brought in from the kitchen. Then he retrieved the scalpel and the forceps from atop Preston's dresser. "My God," Preston said, in a moment of realization and remembrance, because he knew. The Baxter boy, little Matty Baxter. He came in for a routine hernia removal surgery and died from a violent reaction to the anesthesia. The assassin nodded. "Yes, I would say that's it exactly. Probably his father. But that wasn't my fault. It was no one's fault. These things happen. Why are they blaming me for something I had nothing to do with? Hey, don't ask me. I'm just doing my job, and I'm going to split your scrotum open now." "Wait," Preston implored, struggling with the handcuffs. "Whatever they're paying you, I'll double it. Sorry, I'll triple it. I'll pay you everything I have. Doctor, tonight's the end of the road for you, okay? You might as well just accept it and die with a little dignity. But I'd better take my clothes off first. I'd say this is going to get quite messy." The assassin removed his clothes, even stripping out of his socks and boxers, and his massive penis, fully erect, was the scariest thing Preston had seen in all his years of practicing medicine. The assassin glanced down at his throbbing erection. "Oh, sorry about that, but the promise of torture always turns me on." Preston shuddered. "For the love of God, man, please don't do this." The assassin turned on Preston's bedside stereo system, and classical music began playing. It was all piano, wind instruments, and violins. He turned the volume up and stood there naked, slashing the air with imaginary batons, as if pretending to be the conductor of a symphony, his massive erection bobbing up and down. Then he shoved a ball gag in Preston's mouth. "I enjoy your taste in music, Dr. Wycliffe." Before joining Preston on the bed, the assassin covered his own head with a leather mask. Then he picked up the scalpel and the forceps. "Are you ready to eat some meatballs, doctor?" Preston started screaming as the torture, castration, and force feeding began, and it all went on for quite some time. When the assassin finally stopped, as the first light of Christmas morning came creeping in through a window, he was covered in blood, and nothing remained of Dr. Preston Wycliffe but 2 hands and 2 feet still cuffed to the 4 posts of the bed. Bones, organs, and chunks of flesh were almost everywhere, scattered about the room, stuck to the spattered walls, even hanging like red stalactites from the ceiling. The mattress and surrounding carpet lay saturated with blood. The old giant took a shower and got dressed. Then he grabbed his camera and left, determined to exit New York before the whole city was vaporized. Merry Christmas. I'm Brian Bowyer. Thank you for listening to my story.